Kurt, I'm going to go to you first on what it means for not only Bannon to have left, but left the way he did. He walked over to Breitbart.com and sort of walked into Cheers and sort of gave a big sort of rah-rah speech. But what do you think it means to the White House that he's no longer there?
Well, I think it means that you're going to see a lot more of Steve Bannon publicly than you have really to this point. A lot of what's been happening in recent weeks and months has been Bannon under the radar. Bannon maybe leaking stuff or having people leak for him. He wasn't necessarily the public face of it. Now he's unshackled. He's liberated. He can do and operate however he wants. Remember, this is not a person who's meant to serve at the pleasure of anybody. He ran Breitbart like a dictator. He is a dictatorial type of figure. So it kind of makes sense that it didn't really work so well when he had to report to a chief of staff and run his ideas by people before he could do them. He likes to just operate freely. Well, now he can, and that's bad news for those who remain at the White House. It's bad news for congressional leadership, leaders like Paul Ryan, like Mitch McConnell. It's going to make life a lot more difficult for the White House because now Steve has no limitations, nothing holding him back. And
Kurt, you know, you made the point that it's not clear that Bannon ever really left. When you were talking about this, that he ever really left Breitbart, which is an ethical question, whether he was still sort of technically there. But were you surprised that he went and gave an interview on the record immediately to the Weekly Standard in which he said the following: the Trump presidency that we fought for and won is over, Bannon said Friday, shortly after confirming his departure. We still have a huge movement, and we will make something of this Trump presidency, but that presidency is over. It'll be something else, and there'll be all kinds of fights, and there'll be good days and bad days, but that presidency is over. Were you surprised that he went and gave that kind of an interview?
No, because I think in some ways he's also speaking, like everyone, to a constituency of one. He's reaching Donald Trump through his favorite vehicle, the press, and he's sending the message that the support that he had from Breitbart, the cover that they would run for Trump whenever anything bad would go on, that's in jeopardy right now unless President Trump adheres to the ideals and the rhetoric that got him elected in the first place. I think Bannon's fear is that with these, quote, West Wing Democrats surrounding Trump now, that Trump will try to moderate and move more to the middle to actually maybe try to achieve something. And Steve is sending out the message to Donald Trump that if you do that, Breitbart will be there, they will attack you, and they will send the message to their base, to those crazy conservatives and racists and homophobics and xenophobics, that this isn't the guy that we voted for. He's been co-opted. And I would not be surprised at all, Joy, if they start looking for a new candidate, a new person to try to rally around.
Kurt Bardella, A, does Steve Bannon really believe in these economic populist ideas? And B, is Donald Trump afraid of him?
I think that to some degree, yeah, Steve does believe in some of these economic policies, the idea that, you know, the America First side of things, the role that we have in trade and global economic community. I do think that there is some consternation with Trump and worry about what Steve will do on the outside. I think that's part of the reason why it took so long for him to actually get rid of Steve in the first place. I think this is something that he's probably wanted to do for a while, but kept pushing off and holding off because he didn't know how Steve would react. I think there's a high possibility, though, that Steve will look to try to expand the Breitbart empire, expand their media platforms. He oftentimes has talked about wanting to really go to war with Fox News and build a platform that, you know, he believes that Fox moved too far to the middle, hard as that is to believe, and that there's room to the right of Fox to build something. And it could very well end up being a vessel that one day Donald Trump, maybe sooner than later, joins them when he's not the President of the United States anymore. Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks and months. There's still a big investigation by the FBI hanging over Donald Trump. And I think that there's a real likelihood that Steve could be building something that gives Trump an out later on in the year.
Yeah, watch what happens with the Mercer money. Everybody needs to look up that Jane Mayer profile on Robert Mercer and what he thinks in his head and the money he's putting behind Steve Bannon. Very interesting. Sarah, Richard, Jason, and David will join us later. Kurt Bardella, thank you very much. And you will be back with us tonight at 7 p.m., so thank you very much. And during our special 7 p.m. show that we're calling The Politics of Hate, you'll learn more about all the topics we just talked about.